welcome to Vandal Factory. My name's Natalie Quatermass.
I'm Henry Raby.
And together we are
Vandal Factory. Listen, we talk about arts and activism on the Vandal Factory podcast, and sometimes we chat to people and there just isn't space for the full interview on the show.
Yeah, we can't shut these artists and activists up sometimes.
Yep.
Honestly, going on and on.
Activism this and boycott that and smash this system and smash that system.
Exactly. So we thought maybe there were some listeners who might enjoy hearing the full interview rather than just the 10 minutes that we get to squeeze in to our usual podcasts.
This is really exciting. It's our first interview with somebody not from the UK or not based in the UK. Yeah, whoa, we're going across the borders. They are based in Dallas, Texas, in America.
So exciting. It was Marena Riyad, who is an actress, comedian, henna artist, and a beautiful, fantastic person. We were desperate to keep going, keep talking to her.
So you can find more about Marena on her Instagram. She also produces Kufiya Comedy. She's been doing some amazing fundraising for organisations like the Freedom Theatre, which we have also mentioned on previous episodes. If you want to hear more from Palestinian artists, we did a whole big two-parter called the Palestine Solidarity Special, available wherever you get your podcasts.
It means a great deal to us if any of our listeners get in touch. So please like, subscribe, leave us a comment, tell your friends. And if there's anyone that you think you'd like to hear us interviewing on the podcast, any campaigns that we should be paying attention to, please let us know.
We've got a few interviews in the bank with comedians like Andrew O'Neill and Mark Thomas, which will be releasing in the new year.
In 2024.
Which is in like 3 weeks' time?
Yep.
Oh boy, you ready? Listen, while Natalie deals with the dread of the new year, here is Marena Riyad.
Hi, Marena. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you guys so much for having me.
Good. Oh, and my dog's just come into the room.
Perfect timing.
Just one second.
If we were to bump into you in the street and you would go, this is the elevator, I suppose that's an elevator pitch. What is the thing that you go, right, this is my vibe, this is who I am, this is my art, take it or leave it?
Like you would just, first of all, I wouldn't even say anything because as a comedian, you never tell normal pedestrians that you're a comedian.
Right.
You get unsolicited jokes that were not funny.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, for what I do for a living, I just say I'm an artist, or I just don't even sometimes introduce myself because I get the thing where it's like, what don't you do after listing like two things?
Yeah.
Or it's, for reference, I'm a henna artist, entrepreneur, so I have my own business in the daytime, and
wow.
I'm an actress all the time, but I'm a comedian at night. So,
time-specific roles.
Oh, you have to compartmentalize. Like after certain hours, I'm like, I don't go by certain names. And I really build characters in my life, which sounds a little bit crazy. Maybe it is, but it works. So I'm like Marena Hussein in the daytime, Marena Riyad at night. And I had one time this job and I was like, we need to give me a different last name. And they're like, okay, you're Marena Harris. I was like, I'll take it. So you have to build characters. But yes, I usually I'm also really bad with names, so I don't even tell people my name. And I kind of curate my elevator pitch depending on who the person is. That's like the best way to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we can relate to that as well. You just have to be able to adapt and do different things in this world, don't you? And turn your hat to many things.
I think not everybody is open to receiving information that you give them all the time. And I think of life as just improv, which is why it's so damn difficult.
Yeah.
Improv and life. You're just winging it out here and there's no take backs. So yeah, when I'm just walking down the street, which you'll never find me do. I'm in Texas, nobody walks. We're not walking here. I'm driving. So I think that's also
In my head, I imagine horses. When you said I don't walk anywhere, I just thought you saddle up a horse.
No. I've been on a horse and I got off very quickly. I was like, I don't know how you guys do this. It's also I'm afraid of heights. But anyways, yes, I know. Do you guys walk around a lot in your area?
Yeah,
Normal.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's like cultural differences. Number one, we don't walk in Texas.
Yeah, I think we're just
Yeah.
smaller. Everything's a lot closer. I think America's just
Yeah.
massive.
Well,
So,
I'm
America's
learning
massive,
so much
huh?
about cultural differences.
Yeah, you're like the first question. I was like, absolutely never. You would never count as walking. So America is absolutely massive, but Texas is so massive that it wanted to be its own country.
mm,
The like I have a couple of jokes about Texas, and I was like, it's not a state, it's a state of mind. And
okay.
it's you really it will you're gonna need to spend at least 20 years and
Wow.
maybe you'll start to understand it. And that's where I'm at right now. But it's like over here, if you don't know this, I don't know why you would know this, but they have it's this is it the I think Alaska is the largest, but Texas is literally more a part of America, I would say, where it's located. It's more central. So Texas is like the second largest state, and they have every city in the world in here. Like there's Paris, Texas. There's Egypt. It's not even a city. There's Egypt, Texas. There's Rome. There's Italy. There's Palestine, Texas. They got every freaking city in the world, and like you never have you never have to leave Texas. It's really funny. People go to like to Paris, Texas, and they have like I'm not gonna even call an Eiffel Tower. I feel like they'll kill me for this, and not because I'm Muslim, but it's. I'm so sorry. Like a mini version of an Eiffel Tower. I mean, if you're gonna be disappointed, at least don't book $3,000 worth of flights. If you're just gonna just stand in front of a thing for like 3 minutes and then walk away, huh?
Did you say that you've lived in Texas for 20 years?
Yes, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know
And
what I'm doing still.
What's Palestine, Texas like?
So Palestine, Texas, actually was like, I looked this up recently because I was like, these people are going to be fact checking me. And I was like, Marina, you looked it up once before. Let's do it again. And actually, Palestine, Texas is like 2 degrees separation away from being labeled Palestine, Texas after the real Palestine. So there's a guy that came here to that area and he called it Palestine, Texas after, what is it called? Palestine, I think Illinois, don't quote me, but I think it's in Chicago. Yeah, and that person named it Palestine after the original Palestine when they were first discovering that region.
okay,
Yeah.
so it's actually a region, not just a community.
No, it's literally a city named Palestine, Texas.
Oh wow. Oh.
That's what I mean. Like they just took every place on earth, so you never have to leave Texas, and you're just like, it's so big. You could just drive around the globe. Um, yes,
Wow.
but there are other. I will say, like for people that don't know America, there's a lot, but there are other cities and metroplexes that are more walkable. You know what I mean? And usually there's also a lot of weed involved. But in Texas, everybody drives. They love driving. Like before, I know there's a lot of refugees that come here. People that like, they literally just got off the plane. And I'm like, before you even learn the language, get a driver's license. Like that's how
Wow.
serious it is. Yeah, that's like the first way to get some sort of freedom in Texas. So
Right.
it is, I would say, very restricting if you're here and like you don't even know how to even speak, let alone drive.
Hmm.
You have to get the tests and stuff. But
Yeah.
anyways,
And
yes.
so what about your work at the moment? You mentioned, but I think before we started recording, you said you had a gig last night. How did it go?
Oh my God. As the opening act, I'm like, oh, I suck. But that's literally my job. My job is to go up first and I'm hosting. Like that is the hardest job of the show. And but the show itself as a whole went great. Marina the comedian is like, damn girl, you gotta quit comedy and go back to Henna. And but Marina the host is like, oh my God, we had an incredible show last night. You just have to take a hit for it. But it was nice. Yeah, it was really nice. So it's my monthly comedy show called Kufiya Comedy. And I had the show going before the pandemic under a slightly different name. And then when the pandemic, it ended and I was able to open up my first henna studio, I was like, I wanted to also work as a space to host comedy shows in there. And it's really intimate. Like you cannot fit more than like 35 people in this room,
Wow,
like
brilliant.
sitting comfortably. Yeah, it is. I really wanted, well, I love doing comedy in New York, and say what you want. There's so many independent shows in New York. It's really such a big cultural hub, especially for comedy, which I feel like that those two things kind of go hand in hand. A city that's really diverse is also going to typically have a really diverse comedy scene.
Mm,
So that's kind of how you see the reflection, because comedy is like you're really reflecting culture back onto itself.
yeah.
So I really wanted to recreate that vibe. And it's literally in a henna studio. And in the day, at nighttime, we just shift a lot of things around, add the chairs. We have the spotlight, the stage, the stool, because you cannot have a comedy show without a stool and a mic and a stage. You can't even get rid of the stage. You don't even use the stool. It's just, but you need a stool. Um, but it's nice. Every month we have a different lineup of comedians. And the whole concept of the show is to really give comedians more stage time than they would get at a showcase. So that it kind of gets them ready to be at club level. And then also it gives them the most challenging thing ever, which is to perform in front of audiences that a lot of times it's their first time going to a comedy show.
Right.
Because yeah, my audiences come from all over, and it's usually I really cater to people that typically are not welcomed or don't feel welcomed at comedy clubs because they get alcohol or whatever it is. So it's a non-alcoholic show.
Oh, that's really that's
Yeah.
great. That's really interesting.
How are you drawing those audiences in then? Are they your customers? Are they people, neighbors? Like how is that crossing
Everything.
the threshold?
Everything. So I worked in a thing called experiential marketing, which most people don't even know what that is, but it's like events marketing. Um, I don't know if you guys have that over there. I feel like you guys are too good to have this here. We are a very capitalistic society. Where it's like you go to events and they give you like koozies or t-shirts just to gather your information. Have
Oh,
you ever
right.
seen that?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That
You
feels
have
they
a
do a lot
couple,
they do a
huh?
lot of universities with freshers. I can imagine that's a lot of like, hey,
Yeah.
welcome to the city. Come to this bar or this club. Here's some free stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But on steroids, like it's multi-million dollar industry where you don't even know you're being marketed to. Like that's actually the whole kind of concept of that marketing where it's literally non-traditional kind of marketing.
Yeah.
And I did it for like 8, 9 years when I was in uni. And that is literally how I approach people. I just go like if I'm ever walking, it's on purpose, and I'm going to like downtown where I would say more walkable areas. And first of all, you never ask, you always tell. It's like first lesson in sales. Don't ask if they want it, ask them what color they want it in.
Ah,
And I'm like, come to my comedy show. Like that's it. Like it's like they call it barking. That's like part of the
yeah.
comedy thing. Right? You just like you're barking and like you're just soliciting people to come to the show. So I do that, just passing out flyers, and I'm honestly always I can't do anything seriously. So I'm essentially giving them free samples of my jokes
Right.
when I'm walking. I'm just roasting them and tell
Yeah.
them to come to my comedy show. Instagram ads, a lot of word of mouth, and because each show is a different show, because it's a different lineup, we have a lot of repeat customers. So a lot of my I mean, literally any person I interact with that entire month, I invite them to the show. And then at maybe like the last week and a half, I do the ads on Facebook and Instagram. And I think that's really kind of that my store is called the House of Henna because I'm Arab and I don't want to leave my house. So I was like, you go in my store, there's no menus, there's just snacks and me. Like you have to talk to a person to get to know what's happening. People always walk around like, what is going on in there? So the same thing with a comedy show. I wanted you to feel like I put on this show for you guys. Like, thank you for coming into my home. Right.
I mean, we put on gigs and events and we use this phrase like DIY. It's like very like homemade and like, we're doing it on a shoestring, but we're making it happen and it feels very much in
Yeah.
the living room. Where does that come from you? Was it a frustration that there weren't these spaces, or is it part of like who you've always been of like just making it yourself, just making it happen with with who you want it to work with?
I love creating. Like it is my pure and utter joy. Just thinking of something and like bringing it to life. I think it's as close as like magic as you can get. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Mhm.
And when it came to this comedy show, it was born, and I talked to my co-producer about this, that forced himself to be my co-producer, because I was like, I don't need help. And he's like, he just kept showing up. And he was like, you're gonna need, because I don't ask for help. And he was like, you're gonna need help, but I'll just be here in case you need me.
I think that's how our friendship started. Like,
That was
15
literally
years ago,
correct.
we'd have done that and be like, did I just keep showing up?
It's like, well, you may as well make a theatre show with somebody. It may as well be me.
Fine.
So I had like some different, I'm really big on community. So I asked different stores if they wanted to donate something, local stores. And we had some that were like, yeah, here's a free massage and free this and free that. And you can, just literally, I just gave it away after the show. But it's really fun. After each show part, like for me, it's like, the show itself is part one. Part two is when we go to Mondo's Pizza. It's a Palestinian-owned halal pizza spot right across the street. And they have appetizers set up for us every show. I don't know why they said yes, but I was like, cool. And we just go there and we eat and we hang out, and I always have like these disposable cameras, and I make everybody take pictures. I'm like, okay, in 2 to 3 weeks, we'll see how these turn out.
That's
And
lovely.
yeah, and we have like a little photo album. It's very much like, I'm never gonna get married, so this is gonna be the best I could do. Like, this is my work of art. Like, this is what a house should look like. You know what I mean?
It feels like you're creating family. Like you're
It
creating.
really is. So many people have met new friends doing this, and that's really what I wanted. It's like, first of all, Arabs, we don't just leave, and not even just Arabs, but like generally, like you don't leave. Like when the thing ends, we gotta chit chat for like at least 2 to 3 more hours. And I was like, well, we can't do it here, so let's go somewhere else. Well, because you also can't leave hungry, so we have to feed you.
You have
So
to
it was
eat.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's literally the best part of the show. A lot of times is like the joke or like the family gathering afterwards. So it's really nice. And back to your original question is like, why did I do this? It's because there's not, if I was like, if I don't do it, no one else will. I feel like so many people created things that way, right? I wasn't getting the stage time that I feel like I deserved, to be honest with you, for many different reasons. And, I get told that I'm aggressive or whatever it is, right? And I'm like, I've been in Texas for 20 years. I've heard that phrase enough times. It just means that you're different and we don't know what to do with you. And I feel like if I was getting the stage time or even the screen time, because I'm creating my own movies and stuff, I would have nothing to motivate me to go out there and create things. You know what I mean? So it's really a blessing, because now I'm able to give space to other Arabs when they come out of town, and I'm hosting a comedy festival, Kufiya Comedy Festival, this upcoming year. I would not have been able to learn the skills to do all of these things if they were accepting me, right? So it's really trying to give back and be like, you know what, whether you like me or not, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to just build my own world. And I don't feel comfortable going to comedy clubs. Like, what are you going to do? If I was like, as a Muslim woman, you go there and you're like, okay, you need to buy a 2-item minimum, and it's usually alcohol and shitty food. And I'm like, what? I don't want either. And
That doesn't work for you. Yeah.
And I feel like, truly speaking, comedy, it has been taken away from the people that need it the most, and it's been commercialized and capitalized. And I'm sorry, monetized. And I really don't like that, because the people that need to laugh the most are the ones going through it, and they're usually financially limited.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and so that's why my shows, like, I really curate them. Like, I get compliments all the time on the lineups. They're like, how did you get these people? Like, this is such a good lineup. And it's because I spend so much time really giving people a show. It's not like, oh, I think I'm funny, I'm going to just put some people on the stage. I'm like, no. Like,
you're thinking holistically about the experience.
And again, experiential marketing really helped with that, because you think about the customer experience from beginning to end, right? Like, what do you want?
What's going to make that family or that couple leave the house? Why is it going to be better than them sitting on their own sofa watching TV?
Yeah. And I want people to feel like comedy is such an interesting experience that it'll make so many things start coming up for you. Like some of the things that I talked about yesterday, I was like, damn, like it's too soon for you guys, I guess, but it's been going on for me for 75 years. So like I've gone through enough that I'm like, oh, like now I could talk about these things. But a lot of people, it's their first time hearing about the occupation and the genocide, and they're not comfortable talking about it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And for me,
Yeah.
I'm like cracking jokes like it's the most normal thing ever. And that's just part of healing, you know what I mean? And I want them to be able to take that. And again, nobody walks here. So everybody lives on their own island to a certain degree, right?
Right.
So having places that they can just get out of that and just hang out. You never know what happens, who you'll talk to. Always have people stay up for like another hour and a half after the show, just chit-chatting over pizza.
And laughter is such a powerful moment. It's such a like an electricity that exists in the air that, you know, there's studies that say that humans laugh more when we're with people. So if you're on your own watching a TV show, you won't laugh as much as if you were with a group of friends watching the same TV show. So it's literally as signifying to each other, we get it. We're just big monkeys, aren't we? All of us. We're just going, we understand each other. We understand each other.
Yeah.
So once you've been in a room with a group of people and you've all laughed at least some of the same jokes.
You shared something. That was a shared experience.
Something. Yeah. You've done the evolutionary we're pals.
Yeah, you realize you're not the only one. And then when you go to a comedy club, you don't even have time to explore that and you just go home.
Yeah,
Like,
so the socializing afterwards is really important.
yeah, because after each show, like what do comedians do? They just sit down and talk and like we're like, how did that go? Because we all just shared an experience, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like we owe it to the audience to also give them a space to do that.
I find like I put on poetry gigs, but I want them to be like a party. I want people to leave. I want the neighbors to complain about the noise at a poetry gig.
Yes.
And for me, the best bit is it's done and we hit the pub or we've gone to a gig and we're in the car on the way back and we set the world to rights. That's when my brain has heard all this poetry,
Yes.
we've been to comedy or we've seen a play that's really, and when we go see a play that we didn't really click with, we're really down because we want to be fueled and we sort of go, yeah.
Yeah, I always describe my shows as like the best part of the party, which is after everybody that you don't like leaves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just cut to the chase.
Right. Yeah.
Let's just cut to the end real quick and let's just bring the best people out and let's just do that part.
Yeah.
The creme de la creme.
Yeah. Yeah, like can we stop pretending that we like these people? Let's just not invite them.
Oh, we got to that stage about 7 or 8 years ago, I think. Yeah.
Oh, it's the best. Oh my God. It's gold. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But to go back to some of your audience's responses last night. So
Yes.
presumably you've got some people in the room who are on your wavelength in terms of they know about the occupation, they know what's going on, and they've been going through it for 75 years, as you say. But you've got some who this is new. So how are you finding that? I guess as a comedian, like very different reactions and different contexts that you've got to work with an audience, but also just as a human, as a person in Texas, as a Palestinian in Texas. How are you doing?
I am I think because I've experienced this for my entire existence, like I grew up under occupation. I grew up in a refugee camp in Palestine. I don't like to label it, but specifically in the West Bank, like in Tulkarem. But yeah, the Mukhayyam Nur Shams is specifically the area, and it has been as well as, I mean, not, I would say not as much as Jenin refugee camp, but it has also received a lot of issues. I mean, in Palestine, like every single person that you know has either died or for sure every person that you know, killed, martyred, but every other person that you know has been to the detention like camps. That's like the most normal part of life, right? So for me, I feel like comedy has helped me heal a lot of these things, and it's helping me face things, because what I tend to do is hide and not have to like talk about it or deal with it. Because like I said, not only do people live on islands in America, like they're like very individualistic society, right? And mentally and physically, you're isolated. But also, I'm in my industry, I'm the only Arab, especially like in Dallas, right? There's very small handful of women that are Palestinian comedians in the entire country. But in Dallas, I'm the only one. And it's difficult because thank God I'm very kind of confident in where I stand. Like I'm not speaking because I'm asking for validation. I'm speaking because I'm sharing. I really don't need, like, if you, whatever way people respond, it doesn't affect me. That's what it's gotten to, right?
That's very important.
Like, yeah, I know the truth. It's not even my truth. I know the truth of what's happening. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I'm not. There's no veil over my eyes in general, right? And it's very difficult as an artist when people are not receiving you, because you're like, that's my job, is to make them laugh. This is not a political speech. That's to make them laugh. And I am telling jokes. And I know that they're funny, like, because I've been in rooms and people are like, oh my God, that's fucking hilarious. But one thing about comedy that people also have to realize is time. You need time, like the same way you need time when you're dating someone. You don't just go in with everything that's heavy on the first date, right?
Yeah.
You need time to build up to that. So if I'm not getting as much stage time, it's really hard for me to work on these new jokes and also essentially tease the audience a little bit. There's no foreplay if you're limited on, like, they give you like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing it, my job is to really, I have to, like, because I'm an actress, the way I kind of see is like storytelling. I pick my beginning and end and how I want to get, what are the things I want to talk about. So every show I do, every set I do is really curated to what message I want to send to them. Like, what's my story today? Right? Because there's too much to cover. And the thing is, because so many of them are not even familiar with what it means to be Muslim in this country, or just a woman, because they don't get to hear that many female voices, that there's so many things I have to like freaking cover before I even get to the good shit.
Yeah.
You know, like
You
my
have
first
to explain yourself and introduce yourself over and over again, I imagine.
Yeah, and it's part of my artistry that, like, a lot of comedians, like, they don't understand that. And one time I've tried before going up and not having to do the intro bit, which essentially is like half of my time.
Yeah.
And they're like, they weren't with you. I'm like, they didn't even know where I was to find me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I have to, that's something I have to do. I have to set, and that's like the thing is, like, it's not equal. When I go on stage, you and I have 2 very different jobs. I have to get them to even see me as a person and as a human being before I even share with them my stories.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Marena,
Yes.
can I ask you, do you perform stand-up comedy in Arabic as well as English?
I have some bits I could do in Arabic, or like I can make my punchlines in Arabic, or like I curate the storytelling to be more, it's better for the Arabic listeners' ears, because they laugh at different things and you have to write differently for Arab speakers. So I was in Palestine in August of 2022 and I did a comedy tour over there. And yeah, so I got to travel all over, you know, Nablus, Ramallah, all of this, and I got to do comedy there. So they understand Arabic, but it's like a whole different thing. But yeah, I just
how
wanted
was
to
that? Tell us. Oh, you've
got a minute and a half left.
You've got to tell us about your tour in the West Bank.
It was incredible. I was the only female comedian on the tour. Like, there was another girl, but anyways, I was the only female comedian on the tour, and it was amazing. I got to really share my perspective, and I had a woman meet me at a gas station randomly in the middle of the desert, and she was like, "Fuck men," and I was like, "Yes, you got the message." But I will say, lastly, like, Kufiya Comedy is like, Kufiya is really meant to represent community. Like, I would love to give more Arabs, you know, no matter where you are, stage time as well, and bring your voices into Dallas, Texas. But half of the proceeds always get donated to Jenin Freedom Theater in Jenin, Palestine. So that's really, really important to me, is giving back and really bringing up a new generation of artists, because art does matter and it does make a change. So
I hope that we've got beyond it in mainstream circles, certainly in comedy in this country now. But I think maybe 5, 10 years ago, more and more female comedians were coming up, and yeah, saying what you're saying is that the trope is, oh, women comedians just talk about being a woman, and them
What do
then
male
coming
comedians
out
talk
going,
about?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about? They talk about being a human because like you humanize their experience is the only experience.
Yes, exactly. As if being a male comedian is neutral, being a white comedian is neutral, and to
Yeah.
be other from that is to be different, is to be
And now you're forcing it down their throat and they don't
yes,
want it.
for just
Which is
coming
what
and
men
being
do.
yourself.
Sorry. Sorry. Um,
You won't offend him, don't worry.
Right. I'm used to it. Hard done by.
Yeah.
You know that phrase, hard done by? Just means
yes.
yeah, I'm just hard
No,
done.
no, I got yeah. Yeah. I live and breathe the Great British Baking Show, which I have my own problems with that. But that's
Well, that's a whole tangent that we
that's
could
a
go
whole different
on.
With
podcast.
us,
Yeah.
we're not responsible for the Great British Bake Off, or what. I've literally never seen an episode of it. Do you?
What?
Have I not shown it to you? Oh,
You're
I
missing out.
yeah.
There's my favorite thing about that show is how the best things are things that from countries that they colonize. And I'm like, is it even a British baking show at this point? Just change the title. Like,
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
should be like the United Kingdom. Like,
Yeah,
I-
just get rid of the British.
the only thing I've seen of it is the Uncle Roger video where he critiques it for doing Asian Week, and he
Yeah.
talks about that's not Japanese food. That's not how it works. Stop
first
doing
of
that.
all, I saw them make I'm gonna call it Middle Eastern food. That's freaking disrespectful, like Mena food, right?
Right.
And they made like mamoul and all of these things. And I was like, that I would never eat that. We would never accept that as our own. But the one thing that they did, and I find it so fascinating. You guys know Jaffa cakes, right? I don't know if it originated in Palestine, but it's pronounced Jaffa, like the J is a Y. So Jaffa is a major not only cultural hub, but it was also a trade hub of Palestine. And they were known for their oranges. I mean, before 48, they were the most, like they shipped, I believe, the most amount of oranges to the rest of the world. Like they were known for their oranges. So that, and I know when I looked at the website for the company, Jaffa Cakes, they briefly mentioned it, like just like a little snippet, and you have to go hunt for it. But yeah, the guy was inspired by the Jaffa oranges to make this biscuit. But what's crazy is they never mention it. They keep calling Jaffa cakes, and people don't know. Like, yeah, it's literally called Jaffa because of the oranges. Like that's how well known that they are. And when it comes to the occupation, they ruined that. Like they ruined so many olive groves. Like that was people's like livelihood, and now it's no longer known as that. And that's insane. Like that, they literally butchered the land. And I was like, my dream is to have a Jaffa orange because it's like that well known. But yeah. And they had it on the show, and I was like, it's called Jaffa, but okay.
What we ask all our guests is if there is a song you would like us to play after this chat.
I love this the band called Dam. Okay, Dam is a Palestinian band. It's like two guys, I believe they're brothers, but and another female. I would say it's like a hip hop rap kind of group. Very, very incredible. And they are activists using their voice with music. And I was in Miss Arab USA, and I did comedy as my talent. And I used their song as my intro song, and it's called Emta Jozik Yama, which is like, when are we gonna marry you off, mother? But so I love that song. I love the band themselves. And Dam is like, it's like, it has like two meanings in Arabic, which is like Dam is like always, and Dam also means blood. So it's
nice. I
like
didn't know that. That's cool.
Nice one.
No, I nodded furiously because that ties in beautifully. The podcast we've just released as I'll give it a shout out now if anyone hasn't heard it. The latest Palestine Solidarity podcast we released.
yes.
Do we play? Was it a Dam song or someone mentions it?
Tamir Nafar, who was in Dam, we reached out to him and he said, "I'll play The Beat Never Goes Off." So with that's featured, but that's not that he was in Dam.
Amazing t-shirt as well. It's great.
Is it Seven?
From an artist, huh? Yes.
We played we played them all. We've got them all. If you're ever in the UK, please look us up. We'd love to help you with a gig or just hang out.
Thank you. We'll just get some tea and have some Jaffa cakes.
Yes.
Yes.
We can do that. Have a lovely day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.
ولا ليرة ولا بيتكوين مسلطنة وش بدكم انت نجوزك يما انت نتركز يما انت نجوزك يما والبنك يتصلي امتى نتيجي عنا Don't worry انا اوكي كله مظبط كله مصوقي Don't worry انا اوكي بلا هالمشكنتة ومتخوزة 7 الارمات ديك بدق عالباب وانا تحت الحاف امي عالبلكون جيرتي دبري عريس احصائيات اغلب الازواج بتنامش على نفس الفراش وامي على الايفون سيري زبطي عريس قولوا لابن الحلال يستنى لانه العالم عم بستناني بلاقي شريكي بعد ما الاقي حالي حاليا صحتي العزوبيه صباح الظهريه المرخيه انت نجوزك يما انت نتركز يما انت نجوزك يما والبنك يتصلي امتى نتيجي عنا Don't worry انا اوكي كله مظبط كله مصوقي Don't worry انا اوكي بلا هالمشكنتة ومتخوزة ويلي وين انتوا وين وانا وين ولا دع ولا دين جيبوا مخدة جيبوا سرير لا بنام لا بفيق انا بصحي الدين مينوس مش جديد في حساب بنكي في كم بطريق ولا ليرة ولا بيتكوين انت نجوزك يما انت نتركز يما انت نجوزك يما والبنك يتصلي امتى نتيجي عنا Don't worry انا اوكي كله مظبط كله مصوقي Don't worry انا اوكي بلا هالمشكنتة ومتخوزة بلا ضغط بلا كبت بلا غصب بلا ضغط بلا كبت بلا غصب حيو قراري حيو حيو حبيبتي حيو حيو حريتي حيو 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 انت نجوزك يما ولا ليرة انت نتركز يما ولا بيتكوين انت نجوزك يما والبنك يتصلي امتى نتيجي عنا والبنك يتصلي امتى نتيجي عنا بلا ربط بلا ضغط بلا غصب بلا كبت بلا ربط بلا ضغط بلا غصب بلا كبت